literally, there's more men on this call than I've ever seen on any call. That's pretty cool. Just because I feel like Beachbody is monopolized by women, and I feel like it's nice to see the other half represented. So kudos to you guys for getting on. Thank you for being here. You guys could be doing anything else other than watching me or listening to me tonight. I hope that my goal is to help apply right to your business. I am not going to say anything about my recognition. People, Ellen did ask me to tell me who I am. I can tell you my story. But honestly, if it matters, I can rattle off numbers, but I'm not a numbers person. So, but I do know my team did work hard this last year. So we are a 3-time elite team. That matters. I don't know. I've been in Success Club for 65 months in a row. I'm a Success Club All-Star legend. And, but at the end of the day, my priorities are being a mom and being a wife. And I don't really pay attention to my numbers. I'm probably terrible, like being like, what are you ranked? I don't care. I don't know. People ask me that. I'm like, I have no idea. So that's my introduction. It's probably lame, but that's what you're getting. Okay. If people are like, oh, how many stars are you? Well, ask me last week and I'll tell you. But like this week, I go in and out anywhere between 5 and 7 star. If you add all my business centers, I could be upwards towards 9 or 10 star. It just depends on the day, the month, the time. But yeah, that's it. So let me tell you a little bit about where I come from, tell you a little bit about my story so you can kind of understand me a little more. And then I'm going to go right into what changed, how my mindset changed. Tonight, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, it's more than personal development. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about really how you can take control of your mindset and really apply that to your business. I really believe that the cool thing is working on yourself is free. And a lot of us think that it costs money. But the cool thing is we get to work on ourselves and we get to work with what's going on in between our ears, I guess I should say. Okay, so briefly, I'm a mom of 3. I have a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 3-year-old. Not that you care, but my daughter was homesick today with puking. That was fun. My 3-year-old might be wandering in and out of here. My husband also works from home. No, he is not a Beachbody coach. He has no desire to be a Beachbody coach. He does support me very highly in a lot of ways, but he runs his own business from home upstairs in the office. So he's in the office right now finishing his calls for the night. And I'm down here, and my daughter's upstairs laying on the ground, and my son's doing something with Minecraft because I told him he could. That's about what's happening right now. So I have no background in social media. I have no background in business. I'm a little bit of a hot mess with organization. That's just who I am, okay? I have a master's degree in health education, and that is really what I loved. I used to be a high school health education teacher. I was the head track coach for years. I also taught driver's ed. You have to really like teenagers to do that, right? Okay, so to make a long story short, but you do need to know this because it's part of my story. I had a lot of trouble having kids. It took us over 4 years to have kids. Took me many tries to get pregnant. So when I finally got pregnant through in vitro fertilization, I had this baby and I was like, oh my gosh, they're only giving me 12 weeks to be with this kid, to this thing that I wanted forever. I looked at the baby, I looked at my husband and I said, what do we do? And he said, you can't go back to work. Like you'd be pretty much paying for daycare. We fought hard for this. So we made a decision and I took a $60,000 pay cut. So I did not walk into this business trying to make money or trying to replace my income. I quit teaching far before I became a Beachbody coach. However, fast forward, so I did all my kids through IVF. That is a lot of shots. That is a lot of doctor's appointments. That is a lot of emotional crap going on. If you don't know or you know someone, that is a whole other part of my life. It will always be part of my life. It's probably the hardest thing I've ever done emotionally. But I ended up having 3 healthy kids from it. So I have these children now, 2 at the time. And I'm sitting at home and now I have this problem that I'm feeling unfulfilled and ungrateful. So now I have these children and I'm like, I'm so happy to be here, but my teaching that I used to love, that passion of teaching and my purpose was no longer there. the connection with my teenager kids, that I felt like I made a big difference in their life, the connection in the classroom. To this day, I go to people, I have students that may now have children that I hang out with. Like we have a relationship, like a very, like now they're 27 years old. It's kind of crazy. I love my kids. Obviously I love being at home, but I also loved that other part of me that was missing. So I missed that part of my job. And I also was struggling with postpartum depression, which is very, very common after you have in vitro and infertility problems, and anxiety attacks that I never had before. And I had no idea what was happening. It was all my body trying to rebalance all my hormones. And it was a really big struggle. So you guys, randomly, as much as a random person sent me a message, a girl from an IVF group that I was in said, hey, it looks like you're into fitness, because she saw me. I only had a couple hundred friends on Facebook, and I was going to stroller strides. Do you guys know what that is? You go to the strollers with the park and you're doing your like thing. And I'm thinking this is like great or whatever, but it only was offered at one time of the day. And I was complaining that it was only offered at 9:30 and I could never make it there in time because my kids were always late and I was always late. Anyhow, I had done jazzercise. Oh yes, I had done it. I had tried gyms, but I was a notorious quitter. I just didn't finish lots of things. By all means, I wasn't from the outside looking in. Like I didn't have a ton of baby weight to lose. I worked really hard to lose most of my baby weight. But just so that you know, and just so that you understand, I was not a person that only gained 30 pounds. Okay. I walked into the hospital at 211 pounds, just so that you know that. That's with my child. I left thinking, oh, I'm going to be at least under 200 pounds. Nope, 202 pounds. I left the hospital. I'm like, what the heck is wrong with, I had to lose a lot. So, okay, so just so you know, I had to lose 65 pounds. So I know what it takes. I pushed myself really hard. I did work out. I did show up. But I wasn't able to lose my last 10 pounds and 10 inches until she said, you should try Insanity. Okay. And that is the end of my story. That is the truth. She gave me Insanity. I said, oh my goodness, I fell in love. I cried. I got pissed. I got angry. I was mad at Sean T every day. But it was the first time I ever started and finished any type of program. I have tried Jillian Michaels in the past. I had done things in the past, but for some reason, I wanted to show up. I don't know why, but I did. And there was a great feeling at the end when I did that. So I posted my results on Facebook. People started talking to me. What are you doing? You look great. I, for the first time in my life, had definition in places I never thought I could get definition. And it was as simple as me reaching out to my coach saying, hey, is there a referral program for this? Because I'm sending people to Beachbody because that's where I got it. Can you tell me if I get money? I want to get some money. I want to make 20 extra bucks or something. That's what I was thinking. Of course, she says, oh, I didn't mention it to you because I know you're not a shake person. I had told her hundreds of times, don't get me trying on their shake. I'm not going to drink your shake. I don't drink your calories. So I signed up as a coach after we had a conversation. And I said, I'm going to be the first Beachbody coach that's successful without selling or drinking Shakeology. I did not drink it for 10 months because I'm stubborn. And that's pretty much my story. Okay. So I signed up in October of 2011. If you do the math, that's the exact month that challenge packs came out. I'm very passionate about fitness. I'm very passionate when I want something. I didn't even know I wanted to build a business, but I did like challenge groups. I liked the idea of it. It reminded me of teaching. So I'm like, I'm going to get these people together and I'm going to get people excited. It brought the coach out in me. I made Success Club. I had no idea I made Success Club. You guys, I made Success Club for 6 months in a row before my upline wrote me and said, hey, Kiana, do you know you're making Success Club? And I said, I don't even know what that is. And I'm not saying that to be stupid. I'm honest to God, did not have any clue about the business. I was signing discount coaches. I was halfway to diamond when the person reached out to me. She's like, you have 1/2 emerald and you have an emerald. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is, but okay, great. So I continued to run challenge groups the best that I knew how. So my coach that signed me up, just a little background, and then I'll be done with my story, had a little group that they put me in, but the falling out happened. People were unfriending each other. It was like high school again. I don't do drama. And so I left the group. And then a couple of coaches were going through like some serious things, divorce and some pretty crazy things that were happening all at once, more than divorce. And they decided that they weren't They decided that they weren't going to be active anymore in the business. So as of today, my coach is technically a coach, but hasn't worked the business in over 2 years. And her coach doesn't work the business. Her coach doesn't work the business. And her coach, so 4 layers up, is the first person that kind of works the business. Just so that you know, I'm telling you that because that's going to be part of my mindset talk in a little bit, because I thought I wasn't successful because something wasn't given to me. So no trainings, no typical team calls. I never listened to a national wake-up call for over a year. Terrible, I know. Things were set up and they were like, let's do this. And then there was no follow through. So I wanted to make it work, but I struggled. You would think I would have went into the back office, but guess what? There's nothing that existed like that 5 years ago. There was no training system in the back office, nothing. And so I let that stop me from succeeding. I let that get in my way. And I didn't know how to connect with coaches because I kept signing discount coaches and then they'd quit like a couple months later. So I would kind of make what I call a shaky diamond. And you guys, that's where I stood. So I made diamond in about 8 months, and then I stood there for 18 months. I stayed at diamond. Then the last year in 2014, I was popping in and out of 1-star qualification, and I ended the year as a 5-star diamond elite coach. So I popped 7 diamonds in 1 year, and I know that it is possible because I was able to do it. And I'm telling you, I used to think that it was absolutely not possible at all. So what changed? Okay, let me give you some my biggest ahas, what I like to call my truths, and then I'm going to give you some you talk a little bit about mindset, and then give you hopefully some awesome takeaways to go ahead and rock your business, not only this week, but through the end of this month and continuing on through the spring. So you are in charge of how you respond or how you look at every situation. Okay, tip number 1. If there are coaches that are in your exact same situation that are way less successful than you and way more successful than you. It has nothing to do with their upline, their sideline. It has nothing to do with, the environment that they're in. A lot of people are in really crappy situations, but they're successful because they've chosen to work on their mindset. Okay. So no one owes you anything in this business. Surprise. And you're not going to want to hear these next couple things, but no one should care as much as you do about your future in this business if you want to be successful. Okay, so you are not where you are because of your upline, and I know Ellen's an awesome upline and she's helped you, and I know that she's never going to leave you hanging, and I know that, like, you give yourself some credit. If you're successful, you're doing the work, okay, or whatever your successful means. And this is another thing, success means something different to every person. So whatever that means to you, if you're successful or happy and joyful in this business, it's because of the choices that you're making every day. It is not because Ellen's reaching out to you every single day and saying, did you get your invites in? Did you drink your shake? Did you do your workouts? Okay. I'm sure they might support you, and I'm sure she gives you a pat on the back, and you created this awesome community, but ultimately it doesn't matter. And that's what you need to understand. It's what's happening going on between in your mind. So stop pointing the fingers and blaming anyone for where you are, because that is what I did. The reason I'm not successful is because I'm not on Bombshell Dynasty, or the reason I'm not successful is because I don't have this big team, and start looking in the mirror. Okay, so now that we got that established, I had to definitely put my big girl panties on, all right? And that was hard because no matter how bad I wanted to be part of a bigger successful team, I wasn't, right? Yet people were still signing up with me, but they were getting lost, and that is my fault. They were signing up with me. I could sign a discount coach or two. I didn't hardly sign any what you call builders because I was not the leader that I should have been. I was waiting for someone to lead me before I became a leader myself. Okay, before I was leading myself. If I talk with my hands, it's because I'm a teacher. I'm sorry. I talk with my hands, and then I realize the whole video I'm going, okay. So no one is going to come to the rescue for you, whatever situation you're in. No one's going to reach out to you and say, hey, Jake, why are you not doing this? Like, why is this not important to you? Come watch me. Come to my house and watch me do all my invites and watch what I do and watch my power hour. No, it takes practice. It takes consistency, and it takes a lot of failing. And that's what you gotta learn to understand, that you gotta show up in order to get better. And a lot of us just don't show up each day. A lot of us just let the momentum fall because it's too hard. And that is the truth. Because this business, a lot of people say it's easy. I don't agree with that. If you want something that ever is gonna make you, push you outside your comfort zone and create 6 figures and buy dream homes and travel with your family and work when you want, everyone would be doing it and everyone would be successful if it was easy. That is the truth. And so what are you going to do to make a difference? So you need to be a leader and make that path. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your mindset. Your mindset literally should be your secret weapon. It is your magic sauce. It is something that you choose to water or you choose to dehydrate. It's the truth. You either choose to fire your synapses. This is the health teacher in me, in your brain, like growing constantly, firing, creating chemicals, creating hormones, creating this awesome function in your brain of happiness, or you choose to dehydrate it and not learn and be stuck. Okay. I'm telling you right now, happiness equals growth. It does not equal rank. It does not equal like a big team. It does not equal a certain paycheck. You could be a 15-star diamond or 8-star diamond or an elite coach and be very miserable and unhappy. Believe me, I know some people that are up there. Okay. Happiness equals progress. Progress equals happiness, I should say. And you have to learn to water your mind, because you're going to come up with situations in your life, not just Beachbody, where you have to constantly give water and breathe life into how you believe and think and act and react. Okay. So in the book, how I did this was in books in the area, I started to read books and listen to podcasts obsessively. And areas that I was struggling with, I decided that I was going to listen to books. And I remember my first month reading it going, this is a bunch of crap. I don't have any fire in my belly. This is not changing. All of a sudden my old self is leaving. I'm becoming this new person. No, it took months and months of consistency to start to change my mindset. Nothing happened overnight, but suddenly something happened. And that was momentum in my business. People started seeing me succeed, me change my attitude, which in return it got them excited. They knew I was trying, even though I was failing sometimes. And I didn't give up. And I learned and I made each group better that I did. So I went to work each day. I woke up each day. I did my personal development. And people ask me, well, how much personal development did you do? I'm going to be very honest with you. There are some days that I needed 2 hours. Did I sit there and write notes for 2 hours? No. I listened to it in the car. I listened to it when I did my laundry. I listened to it when I'm walking my dog. I listened to it every waking moment. Instead of listening to music and listening to the other things, I needed positivity coming in my head, because that's how negative of a person I was. And that's the truth. So the answer to how much personal development do you need? Are you still doubting yourself? Are you still struggling with belief system? Are you still struggling with confidence? You need more. Okay. A lot more. So obviously I have a lot of things that I've struggled with. I'm not near perfect. I have no clue what I was doing half the time, but I always tried. And I failed many times. Let me give you some examples of things that I failed at, just so that you know that at all levels, people fail. A lot of times people don't talk about it, but I do know that I've been at a spot in my business where I look at other people and they're like, dang, they make it look so easy. They post something, they get 75 likes and 17 comments. How come I post the same thing and I get 1 like from my mom? This is ridiculous. And then sometimes my aunt. I was like, seriously? Thanks, Aunt Betty. Appreciate you. And she's like, no, I do not want a challenge pack. I'm like, get off my feed then. Anyhow, so I sent messages and got no responses. I'm sure you've all experienced this. Super vulnerable post, 0 likes, crappy challenge groups. In fact, I haven't finished some challenge groups. I literally stopped posting because I was like, you're not posting? I'm not posting. Take that. I'm a great coach, right? I've ignored messages because they just give me so much. Like they think I'm a therapist, and I'm like, I can't answer that right now. Nope. I'm sorry. Thank you for your message. It was just too much. No follow through. Tracking systems are out of control. I thought my ideas would work. They fell flat on their face. My like page goes up and down. Like, I'm spending money. I'm throwing money out here. I'm doing this stuff. Like, it's not working. I heard so many no's one month. I distinctly remember taking my computer and throwing it to the bed and being like, I'm just going to drink. Not a good coping skill. Not a good coping skill. Don't do that. Okay. But I kept inviting after I drank that night, the next day. I didn't keep inviting that night. Okay. And hey guys, you want me a challenge group? Okay. They'll be like, yeah. Okay. But I kept inviting more and more, and I kept being vulnerable. So those are some things that I failed at. And I failed a lot of times with my coaches. I have coaches that have felt that I am working more on someone else than them. And I have coaches that feel like I could have done this better, and coaches, but the thing is I have learned to take constructive criticism, and the next coach that I sign up, do better. Okay. So I'm going to give you some things that have worked for me to work on the tips that have moved my business forward. This is while you're working on your mindset, the things that you can do to kind of catapult. Okay. So I know I said this and you're going to be like, yeah. So some of the stuff you're going to be like, yeah, I know. Have an open heart and just be like, okay, I've heard this maybe 17 times. I probably should do this. And then there might be other things that I might help you with some tips. So like maybe you've never heard of. So obviously podcasts, they're free. You need to find some podcasts that you love. You need to talk about them a lot. You need to share them with your team. You need to talk about them on social media. You need to talk about how you're improving. People love to follow people that are making improvements in their life. You could, for God's sakes, be excited about being a sock designer, and someone's going to follow you if you're passionate about designing these socks. I swear to God, you're going to get your people behind you. It is nothing. Yes, Beachbody offers, the cool thing is we do offer an awesome product. But you got to understand that you got to be passionate and you got to have purpose. And that comes from working on yourself all the time. The cool thing about this business is that we get to work on ourselves, right? So you got to be listening to podcasts. You got to be listening to national wake-up calls. I think I've listened to every single national wake-up call ever given, because it's all in podcasts. You can, when I'm walking my dogs, I'm listening to those. My dog, I don't have dogs, just one dog. Okay, so I organized my follow-up lists. Here's the thing, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. Some of you are amazing with Excel. Some of you have the time to get in your nifty little computer and color code the names and you know, get them all organized and tell yourself where you heard them from, and then tell yourself again what the last thing you said about them, and then tell yourself, okay, you get my point. I don't have time for that. What I have time for is a pen and paper. So you want to see my binder? Here you go. Here is and I say this because people care, a 6-figure business in my binder. Here you go. Okay. So I have a binder. Here is my vision. My word of the year is live intentionally. What I did with my team. That's my dream board. You know, these people have like those fancy dream boards. I'm like, well, mine is a bunch of words. So I have a goals category. I have a coach category. So I know, for example, the last time I talked to every single coach. So if I send a message to a coach, I will say, and I had a one-on-one call with them, I write down what we talked about, and it's like a journal for each coach. I just started doing this in the last year. It's a game changer. So I don't have to keep asking them their kids' names, because that's annoying. Why don't I know my kids' coaches' names? Because I haven't invested and take the time to do that, okay? The next section is challengers. So I have every challenger that's in my challenge group. I have every challenger that I've tried to invite. They're just lists and lists and lists. And literally they look like this. They're highlighted. They have names on them. They have different, like this is when this purchase, this is when this person purchased. For some people, this might drive you crazy. That's cool. But it works for me. I write down, I try to do it weekly. So I add different names to the list of people I've friended, people that I've added to. I've created a system. I tried Asana. I miserably failed at it. In fact, it gave me anxiety, because I wasn't spending time, an hour at the end of the day, entering names and setting all this stuff, but it works for a lot of people. It doesn't work for me. Pen and paper works for me, and using my messenger. Looking back at the messages, people are like, I know that's terrible advice, but it's the truth, and it's what I've done for 5 years. And it's what works for me. So you need to figure out a plan that works for you. I have gotten better with like figuring out a system of who I'm responding to. So if I'm in a conversation and I know I need to talk back to them, I make sure I snap a picture, and I'll go back and look at my pictures and be like, oh, I need to message that person, and that person goes on a list. Does that make sense? So I have a system in place. Okay, so organize your follow-up list. It's your job to follow up. That is your job. That is 90% of where I get most of my challengers, my coaches. Thank you for asking me 7 times. Thank you for asking me 8 times. It's the truth. Okay. I also stopped complaining about the environment that I wanted. I created it. So instead of my team complaining about my team and my upline not helping me and not having a training system and not doing this stuff, I created my team. And I did exactly what I wanted. I gave them support. I gave them accountability. I gave them a training system. I had no clue what I was doing. I made tons of videos on YouTube, and I sucked at them trying to put the videos together. They were like, and then I like made all these videos, and you're supposed to make them this way, and I was making them this way, but the content's there, and I was proud of myself. I finished, okay? I started push groups. At any given moment, I suggest you start a push group with one or two of your coaches. That is push to Emerald, push to be brave, push to put yourself out of your comfort zone and post 3 times a day. I don't care. Do a 5-day push group, and those are golden. So right now I'm doing a 21-day push group, which is a 21-day what to post group with my team, a social media boot camp per se, with little tips every day at the end of the day, with things that I've learned about social media. If you're not working social media, obviously it's the number one thing. You're a coach. You got to know how to run social media. So I try to do different groups throughout the year. Inviting with recording with my voice messaging and sending has saved me a ton of time. Okay, use your voice, but please don't send 17 one-minute messages. Oh, Lord. Like if you do that, they're going to be like, what is wrong with this person? I don't have time to listen to this for 17 minutes. So I usually send no more than 2. That's my goal. 1 minute, I talk about them. Hey guys, like I look back at my messages. What have we talked about? Are they injured? Are they struggling with this? Do they have a gym membership? Are they whatever? And I'll be like, hey, how's that gym membership going for you? Just checking in with you. Wanted to see how you're doing. 9 out of 10 times they say it sucks and they haven't gone for like the last week or 2 weeks. But the other thing that I've started doing, if you have an iPhone, you can record voice memos. And you can record voice memos and then upload them in Messenger for anything. So think of the things that you are constantly repeating yourself with your voice. So when a coach goes Emerald on my team, I send them a voice memo. Congratulations, girl. Congratulations, guy, whatever. Congratulations for going Emerald. That's really awesome. That's so great. I wanted to make sure I connected with you about your goals for your next step. Let's set a date to have your Ruby or whatever it is. And I sent a 1-minute message, and it's the same message to each person, but they don't have a clue because it's a voice memo. Does that make sense? Also, I do that to anyone that's liked my like page and now I'm friends with on my personal page. Hey, thanks so much for liking my page and accepting my friend request. I really love meeting like-minded people in real life. I see you have 3 kids or whatever, or I see you have kids too, I say typically. And I literally have voice memos saved that say like liked my page / kids too. Okay. I have one, how to find the Shakeology form, because people ask me all the time, how do I change my Shakeology shipment date? And I'm like, are you kidding me? One girl asked me how she used on demand. You could do a YouTube video for this and upload it, but these things they save you so much time. Probably saves me 5 hours a week having these voice memos. You can save as many as you want, and then you can just upload them. I also have one that checks in with my coaches for their goals. So I change them every 3 or 4 months when I'm checking in with my team, because if they get the same voice message throughout the year, that's really cool. You know what I mean? But I change them, and then I send them out in mass numbers. So I'm not sending them to like a group message where everyone deletes the message and leaves because everyone's responding and it's annoying. I'm sending one at a time to each coach, but the same message. It's a little bit more friendly than they can hear the passion in my voice. That's been a game changer. And so I'm always finding and giving coaches information and trainings that I find valuable. That is always changing. So whatever, I don't have any hidden things. I find that some coaches in this business like to hide things. It's weird. It's like, ooh, that's my special training. Nope, everything's public to me on YouTube. So if you want to look at any of my channel, like it's all public. I always try to add value. I always try to do calls like this because this brings out the teacher in me. It's what I'm really passionate about. If you have not planned your week this week, for example, I know that a lot of people time block, and I know a lot of people like figure it like I don't know if you know what time blocking is, but like sections during the day to work your business. You're just going to be so much less stressed and less anxiety if you take a day a week, and I put all my workouts on through the week. So I know every workout that I'm doing. I know every dinner that I'm meal planning. And then I know like when I'm working my business that week, because it changes every single day because I'm a stay-at-home mom. And so some days I have to get up at 5, and some days I could do it after the kids go to bed, or some days I could do it like tomorrow, for example. I'm dropping off my car. My car needs I have to check up maintenance. I'm going on a spring break trip, driving 16 hours. I'd like to get my car checked. So they told me it's going to take a couple hours. So instead of being mad about that, I'm bringing my stuff with me, and I'm going to do Beachbody while I'm sitting in the waiting room, but while my car gets done. So I knew that, but if I wasn't prepared for that, and I'm like, oh, I should have brought my Beachbody stuff. Well, that would have sucked, and I would have sat there for 2 hours and wasted my time. So I'm always looking at my week when I can fill in the time so I don't have to do all these extra hours. One of the things that really helped me in my mindset is I stopped going to people's pages that gave me anxiety. And I don't care what anyone says. Every one of you has those people that you go to their pages obsessively and you're like, why am I not as successful as that person? You know, or you like, this person just had, and there's a very thin line between admiration and jealousy. And I think that when you find yourself going to this person's page and getting jealous and getting anxious and getting upset, you need to unfollow that person, not because you don't like them, but because they do nothing for your business. So for me, I'm very particular about who I follow. I'm very confident in who I follow, that they are my tribe. They are like my people. I follow Ellen. I don't look at her stuff. She doesn't give me anxiety when I look at her page. She inspires me, okay? So what I do is I follow people. And you know, on those days where you're like super uber passionate, where you like posted 7 times and you're like, I nailed today. We all have those days. But then we also have the days where we like don't have anything to say. And you're like, I mean, you might have something to say, but it's like the days that you're struggling to come up with something. I created a sheet of ideas of what to post. Okay, so I broke up like what I need to work on. And so I don't need to talk about, like, on here is not going to be my kids, because I just naturally do that. I talk about my kids. Certain things to me come very easily. What doesn't come easy, and I'm just being honest because I'm not a very business-minded person, which I want to work on, is making efforts to make sure I'm talking about the business, the community, like what's this doing for myself. And so I have a list of things that I may have gone to the people that have inspired me. I do not copy word for word. Please do not do that. That's called plagiarism. Okay. But I write keywords that inspire me and things that are like, oh, that's a great thing to talk about. I could talk about that too. Or this is something that made me think about this. And so I do that during those days. So that's been a game changer, because I never have, I know I don't catch myself many times going, oh, what should I post about? Because I have this list. I also always have, if I'm really like struggling, because we all have those days. I bought this quotes at Target. These are just random ideas. And I just grab one of these and I post one of these and I look at it and I think about what I could talk about, like how I can add value to someone's life, okay? So each week I try to do 2 to 3 vulnerable posts, and again, it's not like knockout, like 7 pages long. It's just me writing something uncomfortable, but adding value. I think that's really important. I try to add 1 to 2 new videos on YouTube a week. I try to create a presence online without being present. Write that down. That is your job. Create a presence online without being present, meaning that you offer so much value, people are continuously coming to your page. So I posted this morning about a question. I literally, like, some of the things that get like so many comments, I just get shocked about. And a lot of times this is a business, so it's not always about like you getting the most comments on a challenge group post, but the most comments on affinity, which is like questioning posts. So I wrote a post about my son and how many of their kids still pee the bed, because honestly, my son is 7 years old and still pees the bed. And I've tried everything and it's a struggle in my house. I don't ever get mad at him, but it's like hard to wash sheets all the time. So I just posted that. I don't even know. The last time I checked, I had 60 something comments, like people just pouring their hearts out. I've tried this and I've tried this, and because they all related. And then it made me feel really good, because I was like, crap, I'm not a crappy mom. Because I always feel like, what am I doing? Like, I have taken his water away. I've done all this stuff. Does that make sense? So I feel like you need to ask questions. Ask a lot of questions. I do that. Look at my page. Not to use me as an example, but I do a lot. I make sure in the last year I've asked a lot of questions. I'm always trying to get people to respond back. I think that's important. And then, so some of the things, some key points to end it, is that this year I've really focused on the joy in this business. And I do have a fire in my belly. Like, I never thought it was true, but it's because I'm so passionate when I do work that I do not work 40 hours a week, you guys. I think it's a bunch of crap. I don't know, this is probably going against half the population in Beachbody, but if you work only all the time and then you say you're working for your family, but you've never spent time with your family that week, that to me is a bunch of crap. Like, that is lacking integrity. I know sometimes there's going to be weeks that are harder. I know sometimes you're pushing for big goals. I get those times. I used to be there. I get it. But if you're constantly, if you say, these are the 10 things that are my priority, and you never spend time with those things, then they're not your priority. That's the truth. So if you tell me your husband or wife is your priority and to go on date night, but you've never gone on a date in the last year, that's not a priority. If you tell me that quality time with your kid is to, you're doing this for your kid, but you don't make special time during the day for your kid, I find that hard to believe. Now that's just me. And because of that, I had to make sure that I kept my priorities in line with, okay, meaning when I'm with my kid, I'm not, here's my old self. When I'm with my kid, I should be doing Beachbody. When I'm with Beachbody, I should be with my kid. That is not a way to live your life. I did that for 2.5 years of this business. So when you time block, when you set time, when you know you're working your Beachbody business and you're consistent and showing up be here a year from now and doing those behaviors, here's my tip. I don't like numbers, so my tip is more often than not. I tell my challenge group this all the time. You better eat healthier more often than not. You better work on those eating out of those containers more often than not. You better show up more often than not, because that is a good thing, right? I don't like to say that you got to show up 7 days a week and invite 7 out of 7 days, because I don't always do that. But when I get in the mood, I sometimes invite 50 people all at once. So it averages out to easily more than 5 people a day. Does that make sense? So avoid time sucking activities, avoid having what I call Beachbody brain, because I used to have it, which is like you're constantly thinking what you should post, you're constantly thinking what you should do, that's not a way to live your life. Please, people, slow your roll, take a step back and figure out what are your top priorities. If Beachbody is one of them, which it's amazing what this business can do, then set time and carve it aside, and you will be so much more productive in that time, because you only have 2 hours to work your business. You'll do 20 times more of the work, or 10 times the work. Does that make sense? I know that some people have to fit it throughout the day because they do have a full-time job. I'm not talking about you. I'm just talking about the person that never has any hours set, and then they're just constantly like a ragged doll, like just trying to figure it out. And I don't want you to be working your business and being like, I should be hanging out with my kids, and then hanging out with the kids being like, I should be working my business, because you don't feel like you did anything. And for God's sake, stop scrolling Facebook. If you keep scrolling Facebook, you're just going to waste your time. Okay. So avoid, that's a time sucking activity. Believe me, everything I'm telling you, I used to do. Okay. So, I don't want you to get burned out. I don't want you to go hard for 10 days and get burnt out. That's what happens when you burn the candle at both ends. You aren't sleeping, you're messaging all the time, you're trying to do this, this, and this. And I get it, and I understand it. I understand it, that that's what you want. But at the end of the day, your health is the most important. So do not sleep 2 hours a night so you can talk to 5 more people and have crappy conversations that never turn into anything, and you wasted time because you weren't intentional in the first place. I have been there. I have stayed up hours and hours and lacked sleep and done this because I had this whacked out idea of success. That was my own thing. I had to do more personal development. I've changed my idea of success. So here are some key points to end it with. Look in the mirror. You are the only person that's getting in the way of your success. You can set your hours. You can set your priorities. And please match your habits with your priorities. When you do that, you'll stop having lots of anxiety, and the joy in the business will come back. Because I lost the joy for a while because it became a job, because I was having to do these things and I didn't like it, and I didn't have that fire in my belly. Now I'm excited because I run Rockstar Challenge groups. I know that for 100% certainty. I help all the women and men in my group with their mindset. I know for a fact I do that because they tell me, and I have confidence in my abilities to help them get from A to Z if they do what I tell them to do. And because of that, I have a confidence in my invites, okay? So stop looking to other people to become them. You don't need to look at anyone else and be like, I want to be like this person. Okay, that's great. That's okay. No, be like you and be the best version of yourself. Do you, and do you 100%. And when you do that, that's going to be something that's really life-changing, okay? So avoid comparing, because that is when you have this trapped mindset. That's when you get into your own head. Here's the difference. Now, when you start to compare, or when you start to get anxiety, or when you start to feel like you're not doing enough, what are you going to do? You're going to shut everything off, and you're going to open a book and have a podcast ready. And now you're going to have a coping skill. You're going to do something positive. That's what Beachbody has done for me. It's not that this Beachbody has caused this. It's that these things in my life were already there. I didn't have healthy coping skills. Now I have healthy coping skills, so shame on me if I don't use them, right? I'm working on myself and my mindset. Okay, so today you need to tell yourself that this week, everything's going to remain the same unless you choose to do something different. And that is the truth. If you choose to sit here and listen to this call and not change one habit, nothing, guess what? That's the biggest mistake people make. They listen to the training calls. But Kiana, I've listened to 100 training calls. I've been doing this. I've been reading. Well, how are you actually applying it? How are you actually like using what you learned? And that's something that as a teacher, I always talk to my kids about. Like, you can hear all this stuff that, you know, your choices affect you, and getting into that one car drunk, you know, doesn't matter. But the matter is one choice can matter. So we all know that. So make sure you're setting small goals that you can control and execute and that you're proud of, and you're focusing on your small wins that week. So I've really talked to my team and my challengers that it's not about perfection, it's about progress, because we know that progress equals happiness. So it's about focusing on your little wins each day, okay? Little wins. So you need to find a win today. And if you look me in the eye and tell me you don't have a win, do more personal development, because every one of us had a win, all right? Unless you got into an accident and you're dying of cancer, which is terrible to say, there's a lot of people that I can think of a lot of worse situations. It's all about your perspective, okay? Do not wait for a tragedy to start to practice happiness, because or gratitude. That is a problem we have in society right now. So one of the things I want you to do is think of a coach that you admire and ask yourself why. Then think of qualities in this coach that you admire and write them down. And then I want you to start thinking about what kind of coach that you want to be. Literally, when I decided to change my mindset that year, I went from diamond to elite, or whatever you want to say. I said, enough's enough. Like, what do I want to be? What do I want people to talk about when I die on this earth? Like, what do I want to leave? What's my legacy? And I said, and this is just in all areas of my life, I wanted to be loyal in my relationships. I wanted to be loving. I wanted to be vulnerable. This is not just in the business, okay? I wanted to be relatable. I like to think I'm funny sometimes, although some people don't laugh. I don't know. I like to know that I was able to change my mind and my and the power of the mindset and help people reach their potential. And then I became that coach because I believed in those things so much. So get to work on becoming the person you want to be. You have everything you need, okay? Every single thing you need. And you happen to have an awesome upline. Good for you, okay? Because I didn't. But I'm just kidding. Ellen's awesome, okay? And I know that you have a supportive team, and I'm sure you have access to trainings. You have a library that's full of good books. You have something called Mr. Google. I'm sure you've heard of him. He's pretty good too. The ability to be raw and open and share your story. The cool thing is you don't have to pretend to be anything other than who you are. So the cool thing about this business is you get to show up and be you and be okay with that. And if you haven't learned how to do that, then there's a problem. That is the problem right there. If you're showing up every day and you're trying to be someone else you're not, that is your issue. The cool thing about this business is you can be you and be free. The coolest thing about me, I feel like, is in the past, I used to go to bed with like really negative, thinking what I did was not good enough, that I was never a good enough mom, that I still had 20 things I needed to do off my list that I never was able to finish. So therefore I failed that day. And now I look at it in a complete different perspective. If you go to bed grumpy and unhappy, you're going to wake up grumpy and unhappy, right? So continually make choices each day. The little things are going to lead to the big things. You know that, the compound effect. Personal development, inviting, sharing your story, your struggles, your belief system all matter, and they are who you truly are. And people want to get to know you. It is your job to build relationships. So if you are not working on building relationships and actually working on liking yourself in your relationship with yourself, then there's a problem. Because the number one relationship that you should have is with yourself. You should be dating yourself and loving yourself and working on that and nurturing that so that you can give back to other people. Because if you can't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of anyone else. Okay, so the last thing I want you to think about is this business. I know it's kind of silly, but it's the truth. It's like a relationship with a teenager. Okay, hear me out. They listen. Listen. You're preaching to them. You're saying you can't do that. You have to do. Why are you acting like this? Like they're listening to you, but they're not really saying anything. Okay. They might even yell at you and cuss you off and flip you off behind your back. Okay. They talk behind your back, like some people. All right. But you're teaching them something. And then you're going to be in their head when you're not around. You're going to get into their head. And then they're going to come back to you for advice because they know you respect you. They know you, they like you, and they trust you because they're going to come back to you. And then they will start to say, hey, how do I start to do this? How do I start to change? That's exactly what your followers are. This business is like a teenager. People are going to not like you at first. People are going to preach at you. They're going to, okay, can you turn that down a little bit? That's really loud. That's like so loud. Oh my Lord. Can you turn it down? Come here, turn it down. Now, or get out of the room, please. It's the loudest thing ever. Can you turn it? Thank you. Oh my Lord. Okay, so if you continue to show up each day and be here a year from now, that teenager is gonna, everyone else is like a teenager, I guess I'm saying. It's gonna build into this relationship that's trusting, and they're gonna look at you as the adult in their life that they can come to because you've shown up. Like, they're gonna be like, heck yeah, I'm going to Kiana. Like, I just had a girl message me and was like, I've been watching you for a year, but I knew who I was gonna come to when I was ready. I just wasn't ready until then. But I knew I was coming to you because you kept showing up. I was making sure that you kept showing up. I was making sure that you kept working on yourself. You kept having results. I swear to God. She just told me this last week. I was like, dang, if that doesn't tell you that they're watching. Not once has she said anything to me. Not once has she ever liked a post. Not once has she ever commented on a post. But she knew who to come to when she needed help. And her exact sentence was, I haven't been ready, but I think I am now. And that's pretty cool. I don't know. I think I talked too much. I'm sorry. I talked a lot. Really sorry. I didn't realize I get really on a rampage and I just start going and going and going. Kind of crazy. Sorry. I'm done. Sorry, guys.
So I moved to a different spot in the house and I'm near the router. Can you guys hear me better now?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, good. First of all, you did talk long and we loved it. I don't know if you were able, I'm sure you weren't able to read the chat, but you should.
Oh, no.
This was the...
I'm so sorry. I didn't even know it was 7:30. I don't usually talk that long.
No,
yes.
you were like on a roll and you were talking so fast. I feel like we got 3 team calls in one.
I have a problem talking fast. I'd be teaching in high school and my kids were like raising their hand. I'm like, no, I got to get through this. We have a certain amount of time. And they're like, we didn't understand one thing you said. And I was like, damn.
No, we love it. We love it. We got more in because of it. So I wanted to just say a couple things to you, to the team, now that you guys can hear me. And I'm actually going to introduce you. So just everybody, don't go yet.
I was not about to introduce myself.
You guys are hostage for a few more minutes. This team call was incredible. Thank you for being so relatable. You guys, team play hard. When I tagged Kiana, I don't know if you guys noticed when I have a guest speaker that I tag them even though they're not in our team page, so they show up gray. The reason I do that is so that you can go find them on social media. You have their last name. You know who they are because I'm tagging them. So I do that on purpose. So you need to follow her. Look her up on Instagram too. This call was awesome. You're so relatable. I want to introduce you now, even though it's kind of late. One of the reasons I like to do an introduction is to kind of establish some social cred and whether rank matters to you or income or whatever, or the recognition of being a summit presenter or whatever matters. I wanted to kind of tell you guys a little bit about her. First of all, I think you have already seen that she's completely humble and her priorities are in check. One of the things I was trying to say is that the elite program, she's 3-time elite, the elite, 65 months of Success Club boggles my mind, by the way. I don't think any of us have even been a coach for 65 months.
That's a problem. I know. I'm a dinosaur around here.
but you guys, to be an elite coach is, it's a crazy program. And a lot of coaches get lost in it. Their priorities get lost. Their lives become in a tailspin chasing this title, and Kiana has managed to have success in terms of our business, wild success. I know that's a relative term, but you guys can trust me when I say that she's had a lot of success. I'll back that up in a second. But she's still managed to have this, I want to be an elite mom above it all. Someone asked her, I think it was I don't know if she said it at Super Saturday or someone asked her in a private dinner conversation, because I've been fortunate enough to have dinners with her and see her quarterly in Portland. someone asked her, and she's like, I don't know if I want to be an elite coach. I want to be an elite mom. And if I hit elite again, great. And you can see that that's authentically her. Also, you guys, she was in my mastermind. I think it was last year. I lose track of the years. And so that's when we're in these corporate little Zoom chats with people of our similar rank. And she's so into her power pocket hours that during these masterminds, we're all sitting there with like our notes like this. And she's doing her workout. She's like, I got to get my workout in. She's like doing her workout in the background. So
I so remember that. And I was like, the whole time I was thinking, see, this is me. You're saying that. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, Ellen's judging me on my form because here she is. She's like this rock star. And I'm like, oh gosh, I just got to get over it. I'm like, oh my God.
I got to get my workout in. But she squeezed as much out of her business time as possible. Like as much, if she's blocking out 2 hours or whatever, she's going to squeeze the life out of that amount of time. Then she's fully into her business. And then she's fully into being a wife and mom. I was going to say that you guys, a lot of you know Doug Moss. Many of you guys just got to see him in Provo with me a couple of weeks ago. We went, and by the way, Kiana, everyone at headquarters, the satellite office in Provo, Utah, every time we turned a corner, someone in the corporate sales team would be like, there's so many men on this team. We'd turn another corner. There's so many men. There's so many men. And then you said it too. But anyway, Doug Moss, he was at one point kind of in charge of my rank in this region on the West Coast. And he told me, like, I think Kiana was actually standing there. It was when we were at that Claim Jumper restaurant. He's like,
oh, yeah.
He's like, Ellen, if you can keep going on this course that you're on. And I'm like, working so hard. He's like, in a year, you might be where Kiana's at.
Stop it.
He did. You heard him. You were there. So I'm just giving.
That's Doug. That's Doug. Yeah.
No.
I actually remember him saying that, and I was like, I don't even know what that means.
I do. He knows how much money we make. I do know what it means. So here's my point. I feel like Kiana is very much like me in the disorganized, crazy, chaotic. Like they know I track people on the back of my hand, and then I write it in my calendar.
Okay, good.
So I think that you very much speak our language. We do have a couple people on the team that are organized. There's a couple people like that. But anyway, I just think this really spoke directly to our need and directly to where we're at and kind of how we're wired. So I just have a really quick question, and I don't know if you can field any questions or if we do have some East Coasters on here, so I know you guys might need to just hop off. Don't feel bad if you hop off. So when you said that you quit, why did you want this so bad? Was it because you quit the job, the $60,000? Is it because you lost the income? Like why?
Well, because I took a $60,000 pay cut, and so no, I mean honestly, no. I wanted to. The first year I didn't even work the business hardly at all, right. And then at the end of that year, I was like, I think I want to make some money for Target because I really am obsessed with Target. It's like I want to make $200 a month to pay for Target. And then I was like, oh, okay, I could do that. Like I think I can do that. That's not a very big goal. So then I remember thinking, I'm going to take my family on vacation to Hawaii.
Okay.
I don't know. I just kept thinking that. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, like this is really happening. Like this is crazy. I remember the first time I made, this is a big milestone in the business, you guys, like $1,000 a week and then $2,000 a week. I about fell out of my chair. Like, this can't be real. Like, are you kidding me? This cannot be real. I think at first, Ellen, I was never in it for money. But as you get into the business and you realize, wow, the potential in this is pretty phenomenal. I tripled my teaching income, and I've just moved into a brand new home. I don't talk a lot about it because I don't leave with my business, which I probably should. Everyone tells me I should, but my story's a lot different because, Ellen, a lot of people join this business because they're like, I'm not saying I don't need money because that would be terrible to say. I'm just saying my husband has a really good job and he's never. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. And he really, he's not quitting his job. But I know that like with the extra money that I'm able to have, like I'm able to give back. Like that really fuels me. So I give a lot of money back to you know, a lot of things I don't talk about on social media, like my family members and stuff. And I give that fuels me being able to like not worry. Like that now I'm going to Europe for 3 weeks in August because my husband got onto St. Andrews golf course. And so my goal is to pay for that, and to have that all like up and just doing it because it's just a goal, like to be able to spend with my family. Do you know what I mean? Like we want to be able to go to and we're going to Punta Cana. Like, I mean, the amount of trips I'm taking this year is insane. I never would have been able to do that. Like even on my husband's, you know, salary. But the reason I think is I needed something in my life that was mine. I needed it for me. I needed it to like prove to myself that, you know, I could do this. And it wasn't always about money at first, but when I realized that I could, I realized it wasn't what the money was, it was what the money could provide for myself and for other people. You know, I've been able to help my grandma like pay for hearing aids and things that like helped my other grandma move. And I try to help my other grandma with her groceries. And that's not things that I take lightly. Like I've been able to completely pay off my IVF debt, which was over $100,000, you guys, to have my 3 kids. And so I don't know to answer your question because I hope that answered. I wasn't like a person that was in the business in the very beginning for money. And I don't think money's icky at all to want it. That was just not my number one priority in the beginning. And funny, at the end, it like is what most people would say I'm the successful with. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it wasn't like what I led with. I don't know. I don't know if that made sense.
That was exactly what I was curious about. Cause at first you were like, yeah, I wouldn't mind a $20. What can I get $20 out of this? And then it turned into what it did. And I think
it was a challenge. I hate to say it, but I think it's a challenge. Oh, I want $20. Like, that'd be cool. I'll go honestly. I remember when I took the $60,000 pay cut, I would go to Target and I would like have some things on the conveyor belt and I'd take some things back because I didn't want my husband to know how much money I was spending at Target. And then I'd take a picture of it and I'd send it to my husband. I'd be like, can I get this? He's like, you don't need that. And you don't need that. And we don't need that. And I was like, screw that. I want to be able to have my own money, go to Target and go buy my 3 things that I want. And he wasn't saying it in a bad way. It just was, I always felt like I had to check in with him. And he's never been a person that has been like, you know, even when we were like tight money, he's always been pretty giving, you know what I mean? And so, I don't know, like we learned to live off of one paycheck when I was at home, because I don't know, like it was really random. Like my husband and I had both had jobs. And when I was a teacher, we lived off of one paycheck before I even had kids. I mean, I don't know how to explain that, but
totally.
We wanted, my husband is a financial like guru and he wants to like have a rainy day fund. And I'm like, why do you need a rainy day fund? Take me to Jamaica. I don't understand why a rainy day fund is there. But the rainy day fund was for my IVF money. It paid for half of it. And then we've paid off $57,000 with Beachbody. Yeah. So. I'm sorry, that was even more random. I don't even know if that answered any question.
I love that you said, I love so much of what you said, but I love that you told the team like that it's such hard work. Like, I just think because so much of what we do like this is fun and enjoyable. Like it's enjoyable to, you know, to post to our challengers in our challenge group and tell them good job. And so much of what we do is enjoyable, but it really does take a lot of work.
I don't understand. Like I get mad. This is my biggest pet peeve, you guys. And I'm just gonna be honest with you. When people say, "Oh, you can," I know people can build this business in an hour a day, and I respect the people that can. And I know I can say follow this person and follow it because I know I've been around the block. But there are people, oh, you can build this business in an hour a day, but they're working 15 hours. And I'm like, I don't understand how that is even congruent. Like, you know what I mean? Like they just like, and then they, you know, they make it look easy, but they're not being truthful with how much they're actually putting in the work. Does that make sense? So like, I will not lie to you and tell you that in the very beginning, in my first 2 years, I was working 50 to 60 hours as much as I could. And you might be like, oh my, I mean, some weeks were like that. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say all my weeks were like that, but every week was over 30 hours and I lost sleep and I did whatever. Is it worth it? I think the sacrifice showed me what you can do, you know, if you push for something, but I also believe that, I had my priorities out of line. Let's just put it that way. I don't know what that means. You know, one of the things is that like, I find it ironic that I wasn't really in it for money, but you know, like it is something that I've been able to bless people with. And so that's something I'm forever grateful for. And I think that if you're only in it for money, me personally, I think that's a problem, but that's just me. I know that I think that when people want it in it for money because their family's like struggling, that's very different than just wanting it for money. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Does that make sense, Ellen? We all know those people, because believe me. And Ellen, you're so right. And I think it's so important that you say that. Like it's hard work. It's really, really hard work, but it's also one of the most rewarding amounts of work too. You know what I mean? It's super rewarding.
You guys, we've had her for so long tonight. Any other really quick burning questions or comments?
Adult temper tantrums. That makes me laugh. Sorry. That's true. But I also think you can have a whole conversation about just going off of that. And then I swear to God, I'll go. I'm sorry. That just made me think that there's a lot of people that think they work a lot, but they're not doing business building activities. And so they're 30 hours a week. They're scrolling Facebook and posting and thinking of what to do and in fear of like what they should be posting and looking at other people's stuff. Yeah. And that is not working 30 hours a week. So ask yourself, gut check yourself. How many hours are you actually inviting personal development? Inviting. You know, I don't even count my, like a lot of times, I work just so that you know, I work less than 20 to 25 hours a week. But my hours are so much like more, like she said, like just so like I know I have that hour that like this is what I'm doing. It's my number one mission to do that like I get so much more done anyhow than if I were to work 50 hours a week. That's just what I believe. But I feel like people are always they're not always doing business building activities, and they're saying they're working. And when I said I was doing 50 to 60, you're talking, you know, I was always including all my workouts in that and all my personal development in that and all that. But like, that was just a choice I was making. That's not the business building activity necessarily. Do you know what I mean? Like the workouts and stuff. I mean, I know it is because it says product to product, but you know what I mean? How do you say your name? Heather Wiley? Because I have a Heather Wiley on my team and it's freaking me out.
Yeah, it's Willie.
Willie. Okay. Awesome. Well, I hope you guys get something out of this. I have a blanket and I got to get my kids to bed. I really appreciate you guys being on the call tonight. This is a business building activity. You know, I don't think that you're going to take this call and like do every single thing, but like really, really think, gut check yourself and take 2 or 3 things that you can take and be like, what can I do to apply this to my business? But just know there's no difference between me and you. It's just a lot of time and a lot of personal development. That really is the truth. 5 years into the business, I've been around the block. I've seen a lot of things. And I've done thousands and thousands of hours of personal development. I wish I would have started earlier. I'll tell you that. I wish I would have had that belief system set in stone earlier. The more confidence that you can build in your belief system, the more successful you're going to be at this. So night, East Coasters.
So good. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Ellen, for having.
Okay.
Night. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Sorry I talk so fast. Gosh.
No, it's perfect.